Hello and welcome to TechBrits. Today we're taking a little bit of a trip down memory lane. About 10 years ago we did an interview series where we asked a bunch of other YouTubers some questions, and this time we're going to answer those same questions 10 years in the future.
And I've already looked back at the video and God, my style was horrendous, so I'm glad that I've had some progression since then.
So past Ryan, past George, take it away.
So why don't you just go ahead and tell us exactly who you are and what you do?
So we're TechBrits and we're back after being off air for an awfully long time.
I don't know what to add to that.
Okay, so can you tell us exactly what it was that got you started?
So I think a more appropriate question now would be what brought us back? And it was AI, and everyone knows that you have to do what AI says because they're going to rule us all.
Yep. So we asked ChatGPT, should we bring TechBrits back? And it said yes.
Nice. So I'm sure, like all of ours, your content's changed a lot over the years. So how much has it changed since you started?
So the format is mostly the same, but the tech has significantly improved. We're now running on an iPhone 12, can you believe? You're still waiting for the 5. And we're running with these lapel mics instead of what did we have before? We had an old Yeti.
Yep, that we had to clap to sync the audio. We had a full-size DSLR that had worse quality than what you're on now.
Yep.
It's very different. But I guess our content is very similar. I would say maybe because of my job now as a journalist and stuff, some of my stuff is a little bit more technical, but on the whole, it's pretty much the same.
So is your life different now to how it was before you started making videos?
Well, life now is very different to even where you guys are. 10 years ago, we were still in retail jobs.
Yep, still had grand visions of becoming YouTube influencers, but that didn't really pan out.
Nope, and we've lived through several major world events. Most recently a global pandemic and potentially World War III.
Yeah, certainly just a couple of little changes here and there.
Now I know that I have some real sort of fond tech memories. I just want to know, what was your oldest tech memory?
Oldest tech memory, and probably my fondest, was at Christmas unwrapping my very first PlayStation, even though I'm more of an Xbox fan these days.
Wow.
My very first PlayStation, and my dad took it, set it up. I was like, great, I can play it, and then he played it the rest of the evening. I didn't get to play it until the next day.
Ouch. I think one of my oldest tech memories is very similar on the same vein as my oldest Game Boy. The very first bright yellow Game Boy. I remember having that and just long car journeys where you'd have to street lights to light the way as you're, going down the street. But that was probably one of my oldest.
And now we're back with the Switch, so
yeah,
full circle.
So the big question, Mac or PC?
So you guys won't believe this, but
I'm now a full Mac guy.
And I, from a computer standpoint, almost exclusively use PC, but my primary device is actually the iPad Pro.
See, I don't know how you do that. You switch between, my whole thing is now just how tightly those are all integrated.
Yeah, well, I run my iPad Pro as a laptop. The PC is mainly there for the things that it can't quite do, like editing videos.
Makes sense.
So, iPhone, Android, BlackBerry or Windows Phone?
Well, only 2 of those really exist anymore, which is a bit of a shame considering how much I went on about Windows Phone back in the day.
Yes, you did.
But we have very much flip-flopped between the 2 remaining platforms for a while, but I'm currently on an iPhone.
And so am I.
So if you were stuck on a desert island, would you rather be stuck with Twitter or Facebook?
Well, both of them are kind of going through their controversies at the moment, but I've deactivated my Facebook profile. Still on Twitter for the time being, but
Twitter's not exactly going down a smooth road, and it's heading in a very strange direction to how it was when you guys were around. But I guess for now, we're both still on Twitter.
Now, though they're 2 different services, do you prefer YouTube or Twitter?
So for me, it's YouTube, which is actually different from what I said back in 2012, where I actually said Twitter was my primary platform, but I watch everything on YouTube now.
Yeah, I mean, I've not looked back to see what I actually said back then, so it's going to be a much surprise for me when I do go back. But I would say YouTube, because YouTube is still the de facto video platform,
It
really.
really is.
Whereas Twitter, it's still up in the air.
And what's the favourite device in your house? I'm sure most will say the one that's on you, but what would you say?
Favourite device? That's an interesting one. I think probably my Switch. Even though I've kind of gone off it for a little while, I've kind of come back and realised what a backlog of games I've got, and there's still not really a handheld that beats it at the moment.
And for me, it's the iPad Pro. So a few years ago, I started doing some sort of amateur illustrations on the side, and it's one of the devices I literally cannot go anywhere without.
Thanks for joining us. Why don't you just remind everyone where we can find you on the internet?
So the answer is really simple. You find us right here at the YouTube channel TechBrits. Or, of course, you can find us on Twitter while we're still there. Yeah. at TechBrits, or you can find us individually. I'm George Lim, at George Lim, J's instead of GEs.
Randall's, which is at gadget_Rye.
And until next time.
iPhone, Android, no, forgot those other two.
Because they don't exist anymore.